See, looks like we are. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's dive in. Hey there, everybody. Coach Mark here. If you catch this on the live, I don't have chat turned on right now. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really do well with these YouTube lives. But anyways, let me just dive into it. Okay, let's actually talk about what we're talking about too. I asked everyone kind of what they want to see me discuss, and that was the Strongman Big Five. And what I mean by the Big Five is just the 5 key things that I think a strongman athlete should be training to be successful in the sport. If you're in the off season, focus on these things, and you're going to be successful long term. Obviously, when peaking for a show, things get more specific, but I digress. So, what are the Big Five for the strongman athlete? In my opinion, they are the log press, the deadlift, the squat, and with the squat, a front squat would be my number one choice, but both the SSB squat and high bar have a lot of value in this application, and then the 2 kilometer row. For the log and deadlift, I think these are very obvious as to why they show up as part of the Big Five. They are marquee strongman events. And if you have a good log press, it tends to bleed over to a lot of other things. Plus, if we look at frequency, the log shows up at a lot of shows. And additionally, the log tends to beat you up a lot less than other pressing events. It's one that can be trained year round. Whereas something like the axle can be a little harder on the bicep if we are using a continental clean. And the circus dumbbell should just go away forever. It's just awful. It's horrible. But you get my point there. Now, as far as the deadlift goes, that is a huge part of the sport. And even if a show, in the rare instance it doesn't have a deadlift, being strong on the deadlift helps with your stone loading. It's going to help with your picks. It actually will help with your pressing to some degree. And the reason why is having a strong back means you're going to be able to stabilize your presses. Then the squat. Now, the squat obviously is there for leg strength, core strength, and upper back development. Conversely, I do not like the low bar squat for strongman athletes. I find it tends to beat up the elbows quite a bit, and it generates excess fatigue on the low back. Whereas the front squat, the high bar squat, and the SSB squat, they have a lot more transference to the sport. Because if we look at the sport of strongman, aside from deadlifts and picking events, the sport is done pretty upright. When you're doing moving, you have to be upright. When you're pressing, you're upright. At the terminal extension on a load, you are upright. It is an upright sport. The sport by its very nature is already very posterior chain dominant, so we need to pick a squat that isn't going to overlap with that excessively. We need one that helps shore up our weaknesses, because that's what we're squatting for, is secondary development. It's a glorified accessory movement for the strongman athlete. Obviously, if you have a show where the squat is an event, that's a different conversation. But again, we're talking off-season, general development. Now, the heart shock. This is one of the most reliable predictors of your loading and moving event capabilities. For those of you unfamiliar, you're probably new to the channel, you're going to start next to a sandbag. You run 60 feet away. You run 60 feet back. You carry the bag 60 feet and then set it down. That whole series is 1 repetition. And in general, what we want to do here is you want to be able to do a 3-rep sandbag heart shock at or above body weight under 90 seconds, ideally sub 75 seconds. That's, again, tells us you're going to move really quickly. You're going to have great transitions, right? Medley transitions and quick movement under fatigue, absolutely mandatory for success in strongman at the higher levels. And then last but not least would be the 2-kilometer row. This one essentially fills that aerobic gap that the sport doesn't cover. It's one of those ones where people love saying more than 5 reps is cardio. Bullshit. It's a testament to really bad conditioning. Your cardiovascular health, your cardiovascular capability is the suspension on your performance machine as a strongman athlete. It is not the engine. Your muscle is the engine, right? And here's what I mean by that. If we look at the performance, if we look at it as a car, right? Your suspension is cardio. And the reason I say that is it bears the brunt of every hit you take. You can have the most powerful engine and tuned drivetrain, but if the chassis can't take the hits, there's no power transfer, it's not going to work. Conversely, if you have really tuned suspension and your drivetrain is tuned beautifully, but there's no powerful engine, you're going to stall out. Your skill and technique represents your transmission and your ability to mediate between the engine and the road, aka your cardiovascular, and then your just raw strength, your muscularity, that's what is your engine. That's what's going to determine your overall strength potential. And then the other two just help to remove bottlenecks in that regard. So yeah, 2K row. Conversely, if you can't do a 2K row, if you're bigger, taller, and it just feels wrong, swap this out for a 120 calorie air bike. It's the same thing, more or less, in that it takes about the same amount of time, same amount of effort, and it's a great cardiovascular builder. I think the air bike is awesome too. You get a bit of rotation there, a little bit of movement about the hips. It's actually what I'm using in my own program right now, as opposed to the 2-kilometer row, just to get something a little bit different. Now, once you have these 5 things that you're focused on in your strongman training, what's nice is it helps make a movement selection a bit more automatic. So for example, let's say your picks on the bag aren't very good and your deadlifts, you tend to fold in the upper back. Fat neutral grip rows, that FNG row that I'm always talking about, is going to help address both at the same time. Then you add in a little bit of grip work, you add in some extra lat work, you add in some good mornings, and you've managed to address multiple things that need developing at once. Conversely, let's say you're folding in half on your squats and you have a really sloppy dip drive on your push press. Pause squats, pause dip drives, and then just some additional upper back and quad work such as reverse sled drags, Bulgarian split squats, knee extensions are all going to help with improving those particular things. Let's say your low back is just collapsing on deads and you can't get a good extension when you're loading a sandbag over the bar. Well, then we know that you need to be doing back extensions, good mornings, and high pulse to Q triple extension. That way you can accelerate the sandbag and get that triple extension. Plus your back will be strong enough to sustain position during triple extension thanks to the extensions and good mornings. So you can see again, when you have these big picture items you're focused on, everything else can kind of fall into place. And that's really what I mean by talking about the big 5. And it's one of those things outside of competition. I'm not a huge 1RM guy. I think in general for development in the sport of strongman, 3 to 8 range, 6 to 10 range, the sport is primarily for reps. And when you do train in that lower rep range, like 3 to 5 range, you're going to make great inroads for improving your 1 rep max strength while also helping to add some muscle and just build a more, shall we say, durable base of strength. Because in general, hyperfixation on the 1 rep max tends to come with a hyper focus on training under ideal conditions, and it creates almost a perilous strength where it's very narrow. Your ability to express your strength is very narrow. You need to have a good day. You need to get the right warm-ups. And for anyone who's competed, you rarely have a great day with warm-ups and setup. Sometimes your warm-up is just walking from one event to the other. So you need to be able to adjust on the fly, and I find focusing on the floor of your capabilities with higher rep training in the off-season tends to be a great way to come along for the ride, right? Now, that's just a brief overview of that. And then the thing I am going to mention is I do have a program available right now for training the big 5. It's the Blue Chip Basebuilder. So it's designed around them entirely. So the log, we train it 2 times a week. One day is a control focus day with pause dip drives. And then the other day is more of a volume skill speed day. Our deadlift, we use a bi-weekly max effort approach here where we're building 5 to 10 RM strength in general, and you have the option to hit a heavy single at the end. Now, the squat uses the most complicated approach of everything in this program in that we're using triphasic. So for the first 3 weeks, we're doing slow eccentrics. Then we move to pause squats. Rather than just trying to go as heavy as possible with the squat, we're treating it as a true developmental movement in that we're using it to develop strength in multiple positions that carries over to everything else we're doing in our sport. The heart shock is a basic 3-bag rotation, a light bag, a medium bag, and a heavy bag, with the ultimate goal being getting you a good 3-rep max on your heart shock by the end of the program. And then the 2-kilometer row, it's just a standard progression with a focus on aerobic power. So if you were wanting to get a copy of that program right now, it's available. It's $40. Just comment or DM and I can get that to you. And then I am going to be releasing it for free sometime down the road. And that is what I'm doing with my free programs moving forward. Is they will become free eventually, but I'm also going to offer a paid release to start. But yeah, if you want to wait, you can wait. If you want to support the channel and get it sooner, you can support the channel and get it sooner. Now, what a week of training would look like potentially in Blue Chip Basebuilder. Day 1, week 1. Deadlift, you're going to hit a 10 RM, and then that's it. Then your strict press, you're going to hit a top set of 5 to 8 reps and then drop down 20% for a couple more sets. Pull-ups, whatever your 10 RM weight is, you're going to spam sets of 5 to 8, just accumulating quality volume for a given period of time. Face pulls, 8 by 8, a set of 4 with a heart shock on the light sandbag, and then 3 to 4 rounds of side planks. Day 2, you're going to do some pause dip drive log clean and press, then move into regular tempo work. Some lunges, some incline pressing, SSB good mornings, chest supported rows, and axle curls. Then day 3, a front squat with those slow eccentrics, speed work for the log clean and press, a bent over row with leg drive, JM press, dumbbell windmills, and a 2-kilometer row test. So it is a full body program, and you can see we train everything very consistently. You're getting more frequent touches with hinging patterns, with lunging patterns, and squatting patterns. You've got your conditioning baked in. It makes for a very full week of training. So yeah, that's just kind of a brief overview of what the Blue Chip Basebuilder looks like, and really kind of the thesis of the Strongman Big 5. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below in the comments section. Make sure to apply for one-to-one coaching. It's what I do full-time. Odds are good I'd love to work with you, and I'll catch you folks next time.